welcome to the TPAS Claims Adjuster Workshop for May 2020. Thank you so much for joining us this wonderful, wonderful Saturday afternoon. And obviously, you're here because you're curious about learning more about insurance claims adjusting, and we're going to give that information to you. So, before we get started, I'll introduce myself first, give a brief introduction of our panel, and then we'll move on. So, my name is Charlene Hoskins. I am the founder, president, and CEO of TPAS LLC. We are a property and casualty education firm with our focus right now on training, licensing, and mentoring insurance claims adjusters. So you have come to the right place if you're looking for more information on being an adjuster. Our panelists that we're going to be hearing from today will be Mr. Gary Smith. Wonderful, wonderful. I think we can call you now a super adjuster, Gary. Isn't that right?
I don't know about that, but we'll see.
He's on his way. So when we get to Gary and his time to talk, we'll talk in a little more detail. Actually, I'll let him give you all of his wonderful background. And then we also have with us today Mr. Jason Shepard.
How's
Okay,
everybody
on
doing
his
after
way to being a super
Right. Hey,
desk
Jason.
adjuster. Yes. Hi, Jason. How are you this morning?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good,
Real
doing
good.
good,
Real
doing real
good.
good, doing good and feeling good. All right. And then last, but definitely not least, we have the wonderful, the incomparable Deborah Johnson, CEO of Contents Adjuster Team and also a expert contents adjuster. Hey, how are you doing this afternoon, Miss Deborah?
I'm doing real good, Miss Charlene. Thank you so much for having me on your panel today.
Well,
I
thank
feel
you so
honored.
much for agreeing to be on the panel with me here. I really appreciate it. I'm very honored. And for actually, I believe Deborah and Jason, this is actually your first time, right? Being on a claims adjuster workshop, which we used to call the Adjuster Life Symposium. Is that correct?
Yes, the Independent Adjuster Life Symposium. Yes.
Yeah. So as you all can see, we've come a long way since we started first training and licensing. Well, the licensing portion, we started that in 2015, and then we've been training adjusters since 2011. So if you sign
Mhm.
up for licensing class, I will go into the detail of my background. I won't do all that introduction now because I know our time is short. So let's make the best of it. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And we're going to go over the first. And if you have not received this document via email, I will email it to all the attendees at the end of this workshop. And this is what I like to call our adjuster career information packet. So it starts right off with ready to be an adjuster, an insurance adjuster. Yay! So insurance claims adjusting is a career opportunity that is hidden in plain sight. I mean, who anybody heard anybody say I want to be an insurance adjuster when I grow up? No, because that's not something that is they've kind of kept this career close to the chest over the last couple of centuries, literally. And so as a result, especially for the Black community and the Black and Brown communities, we have not heard of this. Now we're starting to get wind of it, and it's a good thing, because if you are considering a career in insurance, that's great. The industry really needs you. So as it says here in our career pack, the insurance industry is in the midst of a talent gap crisis. Currently, more jobs are available than there are workers to fill them. Yes, we have more individuals retiring out of the industry than we have coming into the industry. So they are in desperate need of people right now. So these were old numbers. These were numbers that were derived prior to COVID. They have not updated the demand numbers yet. Since COVID has taken place, I'm sure it's going to be astronomical. But back in I think it was about 2019, 2018, they predicted that the U.S. insurance industry will need to fill 400,000 positions by 2020. Well, we already know what happened in 2020, right? And even moving forward with the numbers, that forecasting 1 million job openings that need to be filled through 2030 in our industry. So the talent gap crisis is the result of retiring baby boomers and a misconceived disinterest of the insurance industry. When people think about insurance, mostly nobody thinks about adjusters and actuaries and underwriters as career opportunities. They mostly think, oh, I don't want to sell insurance. I don't want to be an agent. But that's not the only job that this industry has. So even though the lowest annual mean wage of the top 4 insurance career paths, which are actuary, agent, claims adjuster, and underwriter, of $63,500 is 25% higher than the annual mean wage of all U.S. occupations, which is 47,230. And so when we talk about all U.S. occupations, that's everything from your local janitor to the CEO of, I don't know, Amazon, right? So in addition to highly competitive salaries, insurance industry jobs are stable, but because insurance is often required institutionally, as with car or home ownership and mandated health insurance, insurers also provide many career advancement opportunities, okay? And then we're going to move on to our next little chapter. So let's talk about, give you a little introduction into the industry, especially claims adjusting to be specific. A career in insurance claims adjusting is a smart decision when selecting a new career path. The popular opinion of insurance is that it is necessary, yet few know of its vast employment opportunities. Adjusters are a key component to the viability of an insurance company. It is through the work of the adjuster that a client's trust and confidence in their insurance policy is fortified. You must successfully complete a pre-licensing course and exam to become a licensed adjuster. TPAS offers pre-licensing and continuing education courses for adjusters to enhance their insurance claim knowledge, aptitude, and skills. TPAS was founded in 2011 to educate insurance professionals. Our instructors have I have to update this number now, 30 years of experience as claims adjusters and are experts in their field. All right. I know that's sounding good to you all. I got to get all that preliminary information out first, right? We're going to get down to the nitty gritty and we'll get into more details. Don't you worry. So I'm going to stop this share. And where are we at? Ooh, right on time. 12:10. Look at me. And who do we have up first according to my agenda? Anybody remember? Gary! So our first panelist that is going to speak about his adjusting experience will be Mr. Gary Smith. Gary, I'm going to ask you some questions and I'm going to shoot some things at you. You're used to this, right? You've been through it before. So Gary, I just a brief introduction. I met Gary, was it 2018, Gary?
2016.
Oh my God. See, now I'm fast forwarding in time. 2016. That's right. Because you guys were right after Jeff and them. Yes. So Gary actually came to us back in 2016 to come to our licensing class to be an insurance claims adjuster. And he's been basically rocking and rolling ever since, I would say. Yes?
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So with that said, Gary has had a lot of experience in that's the cool thing about insurance too. There's so many, even in claims adjusting, there's so many different avenues that you can take. And Gary has taken quite a few. He's been a field adjuster. He's been a desk adjuster. He's even done content out in the field, right? And contents at the desk. So he's done a little bit of everything. And I'm sure there's a lot that I don't even know that he's done. So without further ado, please everybody give a warm welcome and a round of applause for Mr. Gary Smith. Yay!
Yay.
I wish I had a soundbite that'd be like. So Gary, tell me what was your motivation? Why were you curious about becoming an adjuster? What made you get started?
So I tell this story to everybody because I didn't know anything about adjusting, and I was working as I had just got done. I got fired from Convergys, making like $8 an hour, if it was that much. But yeah, I just got fired and I was chilling, but I was unemployed, I was broke, and I just started delivering flowers, which was okay. And then someone told me about adjusting. It was like, yeah, this guy, he's into this adjusting thing and he's making like $100,000. I was like, really? He was like, yeah, you probably smarter than him. I was like, okay, well, I mean, I never heard of it, but I
A
guess I'll
backhanded
go.
compliment there.
Right. I ain't gonna say who said it or who he was talking about, but I'm just gonna say that's what was told to me. So I said, well, I don't know. I don't know nothing about it. I don't have a college degree. They're like, you don't need no degree. Okay. Well, let's go see. And that was it. That's all it took.
All right, that's beautiful. So $8 an hour. Just to fast forward, we're gonna get to the nitty gritty. Around what is your dollar an hour earning wage now, roughly?
Well, my wage now I make $44.10 an hour. But right now, we in
Wow.
right now we're in overtime, so I'm making that time plus time and a half. So
I ain't got my calculator in front of me, but I'm gonna calculate that later. 40, 15, 60, 8, blah, 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 blah. Yes, absolutely.
right.
About 68.15. I think if I got that right, look, we trying to
Something like
reach your
that.
money. So when you first got started, you went to the class and everything, and then what was the next step? So from when what do you remember what month you attended class? I can't remember in 28
I so I know it was 2016 because I had to make my own new adjuster's email
right.
address, and it's got 2016, which I guess I would have had foresight. I would have did something, but at least I know when I started. So
Exactly.
so 10 years from now, it's it'll be okay. Well, 2016 is when I started. So
Mhm.
I I did the pre-licensing class, sent off for my license. I kind of hesitated on that. Just I heard a lot of people do that, but I don't even know why, just laziness, but sent it off, got licensed, and I didn't really do much. I mean, you all told me what to do, and I
Mhm.
did some of it, but I didn't go super hard. You're supposed to apply to these different places. I think I only did two instead of 20 or 30 that you can do. I just did two, and then I
Mhm.
just chilled. And then Hurricane Harvey hit, and that took me off the bench, so to
And
speak.
what was Hurricane Harvey? Was that 2017?
That was 2017. Yep. So I
Okay.
got licensed. I think it was either in the summer
Uh-huh.
or late because I remember it was hot outside. I remember that.
Okay.
So it was in the summer or later in the year of 2016. And then Harvey hit that last hurricane
That
season.
was all it took. So when you
Yeah.
went out now, of course, so you went out for the very first time on like a hurricane event.
Right.
So sometimes not everybody starts off like that. But because you did go out on a hurricane event, do you kind of remember what your earnings were after Harvey? Like how much you made during that storm
So during
deployment?
during Harvey, I think the pay was $36 an hour,
Uh-huh.
and it's still like that where I'm working for new people. And our managers always say, you guys are getting paid six figures for training, on the job training. And that's true because
Absolutely.
I didn't know anything at Harvey. And there's people who I work with now that don't know anything and they're still making six figures, you know,
That
to
part.
do the job that I'm doing. So,
Yeah. So you were right there straight out the gate within a year of going to class and being licensed, making six figures.
hmm and
Hello.
that was me being kind of lazy because there's some people that
Not lazy.
they'll get licensed and then they'll go apply for every company. They'll do all kind of stuff, and I was just like, I got my license, applied to two, and then I was like, okay,
So with
whatever.
minimal effort, basically. Listen,
Right?
we all got to get there how we get there, right? I mean,
Yeah.
hey, and that's another cool thing about this. There's no, you know, through these years of training everybody and getting your feedback and getting hearing your stories myself and learning how you got in, like what was the catalyst that got you there, that got you deployed or whatever. Everybody goes about it a different way. There's no set rule really to it. It just all depends. So
Right.
now with that, what was it like? Because a lot of people are attracted to the field adjusting opportunities because it is one of the more higher paying jobs as an independent adjuster, right? And
hmm
however, not a lot of people stick with it though. There's a lot coming at you and it is can be very stressful. So a lot of people usually quit within the first 2 to 3 weeks going out into the field. For you, why didn't you? What made you stay, or what made you push through? Because I know that you got hit with what everybody else got hit with.
Right, we all get hit with the same thing. My thing
Mhm.
was, so I was in Texas. I'd already got there. It's 10-hour drive. I'm already there. And I already spent the money for the hotel. So I might as well keep going. And again, I was making some money. I never made 30 something dollars an hour before. So, and that's just regular pay. And then we were working 12 hours a day. So 44 of those hours in that week is overtime. That's
Mhm.
well above what, the $8 that I was making. And
Mhm.
so, and it was a new job, and everyone knew it was new. They knew you were new. It was a catastrophe. You just do the best you can.
Mhm.
But I've been on assignments where we were making $68 base pay, where overtime takes you to like $90 an hour or $100 an hour, and people were leaving. So everybody's motivation is different.
Wow.
For me, making $68 an hour, I'm not going nowhere unless somebody send me home. But
Right.
if you gotta
And
have
if you
strong
did,
money,
you might have to drag me out the door, grabbing and scratching on the ground on my way out, holding on to the thresholds, like, hold up, give me another chance.
right, right.
So tell us a little bit about your journey. When you were done with Harvey, then what was next?
So after Harvey, maybe you know Harvey whooped my butt because again it was my first time doing it. I didn't know what I was doing. It was a lot of tears, but I came back and looked at the numbers and like, okay, we made some money. Maybe we spent some money because we didn't know because staying in a hotel is a lot more expensive than getting an Airbnb. But
Mhm.
catastrophe, but I had a roommate, so I was like, okay, we made some money. And then, I unpacked my bags. I was like, well, that was good. I'm gonna just relax for a couple months, I guess. And then wildfires in California hit like immediately. They were like, hey, you want to go to California? You just worked to Harvey. I just got home 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I drive out to California, and it wasn't structure, it was contents, which was cool because I didn't know structure to the point to be writing total losses. So it was like, oh, I could just look at some contents on the computer, and it was field contents, which really I don't even think they have anymore. So you get to go out
Still
to
out
the
there.
field. Well, you get to go out to the
Still out
field
there
and
for a
for a
few
few,
companies.
for a few. Well,
They need to bring you back because they tripping.
yeah, yeah.
But
But
go.
it's kind of cool. It's cool. So then I went to California after Harvey, and I spent 3 or 4 months there. That was
Mhm.
cool. That was cool. California was nice.
Excellent, excellent. So then what happened after Cali?
So then Cali, I took a break. I just decided that again, I'm lazy. So I was lazier than I am now, but I was definitely lazy then. So I just decided, I'll wait for another event, a big event. I won't go and work some small hail claims, and I just want to wait for another hurricane. So I think maybe a year went by, maybe a year. I wouldn't say it. But then I worked another hurricane, Hurricane Michael or Florence or one of those, and those were back-to-back hurricanes. So then I went to North Carolina, and then from North Carolina I went right to Georgia, and I've really been working when I want to ever since because I take 3 months off like I did last year and just do nothing. So
Did y'all hear that? Hold on, rewind it back. Repeat. Picky, picky, pick. Like I got to remix that. Picky, picky, pick. Did you just say you took off for 3 months just because you didn't
so just
didn't feel
so
like work?
so so during the pandemic year, I didn't go out. It was 2020. Most people were kind of like, well, we don't really know what this COVID thing is. So then
Right.
I did go to towards the end of 2020. I went to Chicago and I worked there for 4 or 5 months, and then there I needed a break, but they didn't want to give me a break. They're like, hey, you want to go to Tennessee? Not really, but I guess I'll go. So then I went to Tennessee, then I went to Washington State, worked large loss fires. That was different. And then after Washington, I said, I'm taking a break. I bought a house. Let's stop. 2020 was the first year that I made 100,000. I made 101. And I didn't work all year round. I worked
Mhm.
7 months maybe ish.
Mhm.
So that was my first year, and of course that was the year of COVID. So we was getting unemployment. I wasn't going out. I was scared of the pandemic, and I
Right.
still made a hundred
It
thousand that
still
year.
made 100,000 when everybody else was losing their jobs, losing income. The insurance industry is it's recession proof. It's COVID
Yeah,
proof. It's
yeah,
pandemic proof. Go
yeah.
ahead.
It is. So then, and so last year I came back from Washington. I bought a house while I was in Washington, signed the paperwork, and so then I came home and I didn't work for 3 months. I just was at home buying stuff, chilling like a teacher. People were like, so what you doing right now? I'm like, I'm just not working right now. And it was, and I could have been because I was getting calls and text messages, and nah, I'm sitting there like this. No, I don't want to work right now. I refuse.
So
And
they
so
were calling you and asking you to come to work, and you were saying no.
nope,
I don't feel like it.
I
Get
don't feel
somebody
like it.
else to do it.
Get
Okay.
somebody else to do it. So,
Okay.
and then I decided, then I had my first, well, second desk assignment. So I was like, well, I just bought a house. I don't want to leave my house. So then I got a desk assignment. So that was cool. It was different, just working from the desk. So no field work. But, it's people that have been in the industry, which, my manager had never been to the field before. And she was my
Mhm.
manager. She'd never
Right.
worked in the field. So
Right.
some people say, "Oh, I don't want to be climbing on no roofs." You don't have to. There's other
Mhm.
things to do other than climbing roofs. So
That's right.
uh, right now I'm in Ohio doing gap claims. So working fires, water, death claims, and I'll probably be here for a little while just because it's close to home and I can drive home on the weekends if I want to. But it's and then I guess I should stop and say, so 2020 was the first year I made 100,000.
Mhm.
Last 2021
Mhm.
made 150. Again, I'm still taking off, a few months at a time just because I need my break. Some people got that
And
dog in
still
them.
making 150, still taking off.
Some people got that dog in where they don't take off at all. But I went to Dubai. I went to Mexico.
I saw the
You
Dubai
got
photos. Beautiful. Beautiful.
you got to enjoy your life out here. So,
Yes.
I feel like, you know, I was just talking to a friend. It's kind of a side note, but not really. So I was talking to a friend, and I remember I was moving in with some roommates, and I had my first. I bought this flat screen TV. It was 40 inches, and my friends was moving it in, and they broke my screen, and I had to live with that broken TV until it just finally went out for like 4 months. And then, I mean, TV ain't nothing but what, 300, maybe it might have been 400 at the time, but now, little money like that, it's just like
Did he just call $300-400 little money?
that's little
Did y'all
money.
hear Gary? Do you hear it? Just make sure y'all. I hear it.
I
I just
just
got to run it back. Make sure y'all hear it. $300-400 little chump change. Ain't like that
it
little
it
money ain't
really,
nothing. That
making
little
some
money ain't
money,
nothing.
making some different type of money really changes how you can move around in
Yes, it
life
does.
and
I see
and how
Jason
you
over
look
there
at
nodding
things.
like, yes, sir. Yes.
I can, I don't want to tell y'all what I done spent on guns this year. It's
Yes.
disgusting. It's disgusting. So
Yes. Everyone, Gary is a pro gun advocate, and he has quite the arsenal. Quite the
it's
arsenal.
ridiculous.
It's
So
beautiful. I love it. I believe in that. But anyhow, that's a whole nother situation. But yes.
yeah,
Okay. So
yeah.
how long have you been in Ohio now?
I've been in Ohio. I've been 3 months and 3 days.
Wow. So you've been there 3 months, and then you think you're going to be there even longer. They're going to
So
keep you around.
and this is a good time to say right now there's so many new adjusters. And even the staff adjusters that work for the firm, the company I work for, they're new. So there's not really a lot of good people around. So I if I want to, I could be here for the rest of the year just because my competition is not that hard. But some people that come on, they don't want to work, so they come here, get the money, and then Like, hey, where you at? They don't even be in the state, or they don't work, so or they're not nice to the customers. So it's just
Yes,
I could
customer
be here
service
for
is
a
key.
while. Yeah, customer service is big because even if you're not the best at doing the paperwork part, if you're nice to people and the customers will
Yes,
vouch for you, you
yes,
could be you could be working for a while. So I
yes.
think I might be here for a few more months. Maybe we see what kind of storms we get. I might leave for that, but I think I could be here as long as I want, really, because there's not the competition isn't really great, to be honest. So it's a good time to be an adjuster because it's easy. I mean, they'll pay you for on the job training for $100,000. You don't get that many places. I don't think you get that anywhere.
And to still be able to make that income and still take off and take time off for yourself and woosah or reset your batteries, spend time with the kids, go on vacation, actually live your life and enjoy it. Because I think what we're kind of locked into now is, you know, people are working themselves literally to death. And then when they die, we still don't have any money to bury them.
Mm,
You
yep.
know what I mean? And then they're not taking vacations. I think I've read a statistic a couple of years back that said like over 60% of Americans do not, for those who do have like corporate jobs, salaried, set vacation, that about over 60% of us are not taking the vacation because what? You can't afford it. So even though you're salaried and you got benefits and you got all this kind of stuff, you're still 1 to 2 paychecks away from homelessness or poverty.
Yeah.
And that's over, statistically over 70% of Americans are, you take their paycheck away today, within 2 weeks, they will be homeless. They're not going to be able to sustain themselves. And that's not cool because, we don't have savings and things like that or cushions to sit back on. So with that said, like for instance, after your first your or when you took the 3 months off, right? So
Hmm.
you obviously are walking away with your deployments with money saved. Because a lot of times some people who don't understand being an independent, they're like, yeah, you're independent, but you got to pay for everything out of pocket. And then by the time you do all that, you at zero. Would you say that's true or not true?
So it definitely is on the individual, right? Because some people, they'll get their money, and I know I'm guilty. I'm living like a rock star. When I was making $68 an hour, I
Listen,
was I was eating steaks just about every night. We going, give me the steak, give me the dessert, give me appetizers. I mean, I was living it up. But I mean, I was putting some money away too. But I was definitely living up. But I know there's some people that go on deployments and they get making sandwiches, peanut butter jelly, eating ramen noodles, and I'm like, not me. But it just depends on how you manage your money. Because I know I'm not the best. Because I like to treat myself. Because I do work hard. That's one thing I will say. I'm lazy about getting a job sometimes, or I'll chill out for 3 months. But when I am working, I do work probably more than my 12 hours that I get paid for. Now, I don't recommend that always, but I work hard, but I like to treat myself nice and buy myself nice things. So, but you do spend a lot of money on relatively, right? Because I'm in an Airbnb right now, and it's $800 a month. That's you go to a hotel,
that's
you're
not
gonna
bad.
spend that. You're gonna spend that a lot. You're gonna spend that a lot quicker in a hotel. So
Gonna spend that
you
$800 or more than that in about a week in a hotel
Yeah,
nowadays.
yeah. So you
Yeah.
can definitely manage it. You manage your expenses. I mean, you're
Mhm.
independent, so you have to manage those things. Manage your appointments with gas because you can't be driving here and there. That's your gas. So
Right.
I definitely have put somebody on to the adjusting world, and she went staff, and I was like, oh, good job, you went. You got in. That's good. And she told me what she made, and I said, because staff is a little different. The pay is a little, the pay was like what you could make in a month. That I was like, oof, you done made, which was an upgrade for her, which is good. Not everybody
That's
wants to
good.
go independent. Yeah, it was still an upgrade, but you know, I'm not gonna go staff. It's just not enough money for me.
Hmm. Hmm.
But yeah.
So before we wrap you up here, Gary,
Mhm.
is there any words of wisdom or advice that you would like to give to someone who's listening in and watching right now, who is obviously here because they're interested, but they want more information, or they may be on the fence or trying to make a decision of which way to go, to stay with what they're doing now or to do this and try something different? Any advice or words of wisdom that you can give that person?
So I would say you just have to look at what you make now and what you do now, because this job is not an easy job. And it's not. I wouldn't tell anyone that's looking for an easy job to get this job, because it's not easy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is it rewarding? Yes, it's rewarding. You're gonna get paid if you want to travel. I've been from California to New Jersey, up and down. So if you want to travel, you can do that. If you want to stay at home and work, you can. But you have to be prepared to work. But that should be kind of common knowledge. You're not gonna make six figures by sitting around and doing nothing. But I think for me, the cost of entry to get in, and then it's not really like you get in, and it's not like you went to college for 4 years and spent 50, 80, $90,000, and then you say, yeah, I don't want to do this no more. Where, I forget, I don't know where the licensing, pre-licensing stuff is, but maybe less than $1,000, you can do a deployment.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not your cup of tea, you don't have to go back and do it again. And then
Mm-hmm.
you can go back to doing your own thing. Or there's some people that'll do it, they'll take FMLA at their job, do it to see, call their job, hey, I'm never coming back, or hey, I'm coming back early, Jason. So I mean, I think the
Jason
cost of
raised his hand like that was.
I mean, the cost of entry for me is just it's too low, because I mean, I'm not even making money every day. I'm only working 6 days a week, and my check is $2,600 a week. So that's over $10,000 a month. So I mean, the cost of entry for, and that's my take home. That's after taxes. So um, I think the cost of entry is so low, as opposed to going and getting a whole career from a college degree. And then you're like, man, I ain't got my nursing degree. I hate nursing. Ugh. That's a little different. So I think I would say try it if you're interested in it. You don't have to stay, but you might want to after you do it. And that's just my experience from my job. I heard from other adjusters that are doing stuff, and I'm like, you're getting paid how much for doing what? So it's other stuff out there than property, and some people like auto. Auto is, I heard, just a little easier.
Yes.
So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's different things you can do. It's not just what auto, property claims, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
cost of
That's right.
entry is too low not to do it, to me, to be honest.
Yes. Yes. And I was one of those college students still paying off student loan debt,
Me too.
and not using my degree. Yeah. I was one of them. Well, thank you, Gary. Thank you. I think that was really, really, really good words of wisdom. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Please give Gary a round of
Thank
applause.
you. Thank you.
Great, Gary. Thank you.
I know, Gary. You know what? You need to make a YouTube page called The Lazy Adjuster, because you always like,
Okay.
I'm lazy, I'm chilling. It's whatever. And mind you, y'all, Gary has children and everything else. So, so for him to be able to live comfortably the way that he is doing, that says a lot, and still taking off 2-3 months out of the year, so forth and so on. And we need that. That was it for me. That was the deciding factor for me. My first deployment lasted 6 months. And I tried to spend as much as that money as I could. I was 25. And even still, I had so much money saved up. I went on a month vacation and still had money where I just really chilled for the rest of the 6 months of the year that I had left. And then when it started getting low, that's when I decided, okay, let me try to get back to work. You know what I mean? And I like what Gary said, that you can always, if you decide to go this route, if you don't like it, you can walk away from it. And that also, the cool thing I want to add to that is, if you decide you walk away, like some people have, and you decide, hey, shoot, this other stuff that I was doing, this ain't, I ain't as satisfied with that license. Once you have your licensing, if you keep your license up, you can come back into it anytime you want. All right. So with that said, Thank you, thank you, thank you, Gary. Thank you. Appreciate you. We're gonna move on and go to the next. And Gary, if you don't mind staying on the line, just in case folks have questions, I'm gonna try to leave some room at the end for anybody who might have a question they want to put in the chat. And if you do have a question that you want to put up in the chat now, please put it up now or as we go along, and then we'll do our best to answer them at the end of the workshop. So I'm gonna share my screen again, and we're gonna go on to the next chapter. So, what does an insurance claims adjuster do? So by definition, is that look at this picture. Gary, you see yourself. July 2016, Gary. There it is. This is actually Gary on one of his first. This was Harvey. This was
That was
Harvey,
Harvey.
Gary.
Yeah, that
Yes.
was Harvey.
This was
Wow.
actually on Gary's very first deployment. That's so funny. Very first deployment, Hurricane Harvey. And the wonderful young lady, beautiful young lady standing next to him is actually his sister, Nicole Nelson, who is also an insurance claims adjuster as well. Gary was out working with the field, and Nicole was actually working with us in the field doing content. So that's awesome. So by definition, an adjuster is an employee of an insurance company or an adjustment firm employed by an insurance company hired to investigate, for the purpose of settlement, a claim for damages that have occurred to property or persons. So basically what it is that these insurance companies, they have their own, like Gary said, he had a friend that decided to go staff. They have their own adjusters that are staff and employees of their company. However, the kicker is that when they get so many claims in, sometimes the staff becomes overwhelmed. And at that time, they outsource the claims to third-party firms, and those are the firms who hire us, the independent adjusters. Now, if you decide to go staff, after you hear about this opportunity, or you may even decide to come to the class, get your licensing so you have a better heads up when you're interviewing for a staff position, you look more desirable and more marketable to them. You could totally 100% do that as well. So just to let you know, the options are open, and it all depends on, like Gary said, what is best for you right now at this time in your life, and only you are going to know that. So some of the adjuster roles and responsibilities we'll discuss a little bit. Claims adjuster's duties involved in interviewing the claimant and witnesses, obtaining police and or hospital records if that's necessary, and inspecting property damage to determine the extent of liability. What you're doing is you're investigating the loss, making sure that what they're claiming is true, and that say, hey, my fence is damaged because this tree fell on it because of the tornado wind that came through here. You're going out there or inspecting either in person like Gary in the field, or you can even do phone inspections for smaller claims and work claims virtually from the comfort of your home or from a office location decided by that insurance carrier, right? So you may have to go and report to Florida to go work claims in a State Farm office in Florida or a State Farm office in Atlanta, Georgia, or whatever the case may be, right? So you're still not in the field, but you still have to kind of leave your base location for that. So adjusters can handle property claims involving damage to buildings and structures. They also handle liability claims for damages or injuries caused by motor vehicle accidents, slip and falls, dog bites, or negligent behavior. And really, that list is not limited to just what we have here. It goes on and on. So just as Gary was kind of hinting to, he's talking to adjusters and he's saying, what, you made how much money doing what? You know, for instance, when there was the BP spill, there's a such thing called an environmental adjuster when those type of accidents happen, where you have these large commercial companies and they have chemical spills that affect the environment. And the BP spill adjusters were making $1,000 a day if you were not an experienced environmental adjuster. If you were an experienced environmental adjuster, they were making about $1,500 a day. So it can be extremely lucrative in this industry, just depending on what you want to do. But the key is that you have a heart for helping people, because that's what this job is all about. You're helping to get people back on track. They are absolutely devastated by what has happened to them. Just imagine if something like that happened to you, right? A tree comes and crashes through your house, or hail comes and beats up your car, whatever the case may be. And so our job as adjusters, we are there as a liaison, really, to connect the insured or the policyholder with their insurance company. So we're there to make sure and help them to present that damage information to their insurance carrier in a way that the carrier will understand, so a decision can be made on coverage and a payment can be made to give to them in order to fix their damaged property. All right. So with that said, I think we're ready to, I think I'm ahead of myself. You know what? I'm going to read the next chapter and then we're going to go to Mr. Jason since I'm so on point right now. So what does an insurance claims adjuster do? And I will say this, we're going to talk a lot from the property perspective, but like I said, you could be an auto adjuster. You could do the inland marine thing when 18-wheelers have accidents. If you have knowledge about aircraft, if you have knowledge about watercraft, there are adjusters for every single little avenue that there is out there. So functions and duties. All lines adjusters may handle property and casualty claims, professional liability, hospital professional liability, excess liability, physicians and surgeons liability, aircraft liability, hull, inland marine, ocean marine, boiler and machinery, as well as various types of bond losses. So we can do a little bit of everything. And when we do property, we can do residential, we can do commercial, same thing with auto. We can do large equipment. We can do minivans, cars, trucks, 18-wheelers, whatever the case may be. So job duties will include responding to claims in a timely manner, communicating with policyholders, researching each aspect of the claim, including the building damage or the contents damage and extra living expenses. That's when someone is, the damage to their home is so extensive that they cannot live there while the repairs are being done. So they got to stay in a hotel, and now they've got all these extra expenses because they're not in the home. Also, with those duties, you have to prepare a detailed damage report for the purpose of making an offer of settlement and utilize computer skills with a degree of proficiency. Let me emphasize that last bullet point. If you are not computer savvy, I'm not saying you can't do it. What I'm saying is start going to Computer 101 right now so that when somebody says drag and drop, click here, hit that drop down menu, hit the radio button, click this or that, move such and such over to this folder, create a folder for blah, 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 that you know what that is and that you're able to navigate in a computer system with ease. Okay, because there's going to be a lot coming at you. You're going to have to get your construction knowledge skills up on how buildings are built and things like that. If you don't have that, work on that. Go to YouTube. Try to see if you can volunteer for Habitat for Humanity and help build a house. Different things like that. You're going to have an estimating program that you're going to have to learn. The industry one that's popular for us is Xactimate. There's also a program called Assembility. It's all on the laptop, all on your computer. It's like a engineer drafting program. Again, you got to be familiar with computers and navigating that with ease and feel confident about it, as well as answering emails, phone calls, follow-up, time management, so forth and so on. So there's going to be a lot coming at you all at once. So with that said, this is your computer skills, you will have to use that every single day of this job, of this opportunity. Okay, so if you know that's something that you need to work on, that you're not very strong in, start working on it now. You can do it. Skill is nothing but something that can be acquired and learned. One point we didn't know how to walk, now we do. At one point you didn't know how to talk, now you do. Every job that you started for the very first time, you didn't know what you were doing, now you know what you're doing, right? So the same thing with these skills that you may have a gap in that you need to fill. Okay, so don't be discouraged, just work on it and get better. That's it. All right, so with that said, I had to give my little lecture, you know how I do. So with that said, I'm going to introduce our next speaker, our next panelist, Mr. Jason Shepard.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
So Jason well, okay, I'm gonna let Jason, because I'm sorry, Jason, and I'm sorry, Gary, too. Y'all charge it to my head, not to my heart. These classes are starting to run in on each other, and I cannot remember when folks got started and so forth and so on. But Jason got started, I want to say, now, Jason, are you 2018?
2017.
Golly. 2017. I'm getting close.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Jason,
Almost.
You said what?
Almost, you almost got it right.
I was almost there. So Jason got started with us and went to class in 2017. And I think he dibble dabbled in the field for a little bit, but really found his calling doing desk adjusting. And so Jason is a father, honey. He is married with children. And actually his wife is also an adjuster as well, Miss Nicole Shepherd. He got her into it. And his daughter, Miss Akivia, honey, is also into, so it is a family affair over there with Jason, as well as with Gary too. So with that said, I know I done gave a little bit of your info, Jason, but without further ado, everyone, please help me to welcome and give a warm round of applause for Mr. Jason Shepherd.
Thank you, thank you. So yes, as Charlene mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
okay, my video went out. Hold on.
As soon as you start talking, look how I do.
I know.
Look at that
Technology
technology.
does what it wants to do. Okay. So yes, I did come to the licensing program in the spring of 2017. Went back to work as I did come on a weekend and toot my own horn. I was first place in the class taking the test.
Yes, he was. He tested the
Yeah.
highest. Yeah, we have little competitions over here, y'all. Just
Yes.
iron
And
sharpens
so
iron, okay?
and so yes, so I went back to work. Like Gary said, filled out for the license. Kind of hesitated a little bit, but not too much. It did take a little while. Once I did get everything situated and got the license and everything good to go, it was just a matter of waiting on an assignment. Unlike Gary, I did apply to the multiple carriers on the form that was provided. So I was a little like, what's going on? Why isn't anybody calling me? But it was just a matter of patience.
That's a cute
Yeah.
emoji.
Being patient. And so that summer, I was like, okay, kind of getting a little discouraged because, nothing had happened and decided, okay, well, I need to get some certifications. Maybe that'll help me. And so I found out about a carrier certification in Mobile, Alabama. My job at the time, I was a transplant laser technician. So I used to etch the size and things of the plastics that go inside the body during surgery. Right. Which
Wow.
is why I'm wearing glasses because I used to have to watch those parts, 12-hour shifts, and making sure each part has the right stuff. So I digress. So I said, okay, well, I'm off this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on a swing shift. Let me go down here and get my certification and make my chances better to being deployed. And so while I was there, passed the certification, and at the same time, the firm states, hey, we got an assignment for those that pass the certification if you would like to go ahead and adjust. Well,
Mhm.
me, like I have a whole career back at home, well, 2 years that I've been there, got kids, got a wife. I'm like, I can't just make a decision like that. Of course, call home, talk to my wife, call my mom and my grandma. And they're like, well, hey, if that's what you feel like, you want to do, you can do anything you want to do. I'm like, okay, well, this is new to me. She's like, well, the job that you're at now was once new to you. I'm like, well, that's true. And so they started discussing the money and the amount of money that will be made on this deployment. I think it was like 37.50. But of course, like Gary said, after 40 hours, it was, time and a half, and it was 712. So that's 44 hours of overtime and 40 hours of regular time. We're talking well over $3,000 for 1 week.
Hold
And
on,
when he says
Jason.
on
You gotta explain it in what 712 is when we say that.
Okay, that's 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. And it
Mhm.
does sound a bit alarming, like, whoa, that's a lot of time. But as Gary mentioned, it's a lot of on-the-job training. And with this being Hurricane Irma in Florida, they said, okay, well, if you accept the assignment, we'll go ahead and put you down for the deployment. And the day that they accept you, you start making money. So I was getting paid to go pick up my equipment in Birmingham. I was getting paid to learn how they wanted us to kind of do the things, what they were preparing us for, as well as being paid to travel to Florida, to the main center. All that was being paid. And then so once we actually got set up, they know it's not going to be, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, a quick process. So as they're teaching you and as you're learning, you're getting paid for that. And so once you finally get your claims and you go look at them, it's like you determine how you want your day to go. They may say, hey, you're on the clock from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. However, if you get up at 7 and you have your first meetings not till 10, you can do some paperwork and some computer work until 10. Go
Mhm.
do your inspections. If you're done by 3, you're done by 3. They're still going to pay you till 7 because you were able to get your work done. There's no one that's going to basically be there with their hand on the shoulder. So I did that. It lasted 6 weeks. Unexpectedly, I did think it was going to last longer. So I was a little caught off guard.
Mhm.
Um, but I did make in those 6 weeks half of basically what I would have made in 6 months at my job.
Wow.
So yeah, that was
I gotta
pretty
put up
much
a
that.
wow emoji for that one. Wow.
Yes, yes, most definitely. So yeah, that was pretty much life changing. So I came back to Tennessee saying this adjustment is where it's at.
Mm,
So as I prepared to see what was next, of course, Harvey had been before Irma, and so all the adjusters were still out. They were pretty much in cleanup mode, and going into the late fall, I didn't know, of course, weather's changing, things like that. So there was nothing. So I, of course, had to keep working. So I basically picked up a warehouse job. And upon getting that warehouse job, I was so excited about adjusting that everybody that would lend me an ear, I told them about it. I
wow.
provided several of your cards to people that were working there, NT Pass. So I passed out cards. I'm telling people, they're like, man, no way. I'm like, yes, way. We don't hear about this, but it's there and it's been there for a long time and it's going to be there for a long time. So you
Mhm.
might want to get into it to the point where I was just working as a temp warehouse worker, no plans of elevating up. But as I
Wow.
said, things were slow for myself. So about 6 months later, they hired me on permanent and they gave me a couple of raises. But I kept telling the people, I said, as soon as a storm hit, I'm gone. They're like,
Wow.
no way, you're permanent. You got a raise. You drive the forklift. You do this. I said, listen to me. When they call me, I'm leaving. They're like, no way. So of course, Florence develops, and it's this massive hurricane out in the ocean. And
Yes.
I'm like, oh my God, I'm gone. They're like, you're gonna leave? I'm like, man, there's gonna be all kind of work from this hurricane. I am gone. And so a firm called, reached out to me, um, and they offered me a deployment. And I told them yes. And so before I could actually tell the job that I was going to be leaving, and here's the danger of the job. Sometimes the assignments, they send out the request for too many adjusters. So you
Mhm.
do have to be
Yes.
mindful of that because I did say yes, but I didn't have the chance to tell my job yet that I was leaving. Within like an hour later, that firm called me back, and of course, I had to sneak off the floor to answer the phone. And they're like, "We apologize. Our initial order was too high. We're gonna have to rescind that offer." So I'm like, "Okay, I'm getting ready to go back to the floor." And another firm calls me and says, we have the numbers. And of course, me, I'm like, you sure? Because I got something else
Right.
going on. Let me know.
I
They're like,
almost
well,
quit
of
my
course,
job about 5 minutes ago,
right.
so I need to know.
Right, right. And they're like, well, that's the nature of the business, but we can tell you we're one of the top firms. We have a large request. Are you available? Say yes. I find my floor manager within 10 minutes, says, hey, something's come up. I'm going to have to leave immediately, and you guys probably won't see me again. He's like, what's going on? I'm like, it's just something I got to do for my family. He says, emergency. You can call back. Come. I said, I'm not going to come back. I left, went home, didn't even call my wife. I showed up, started packing. She's like, what? I was like, I'm heading to Birmingham to pick up my equipment. I got deployed. Get there. Now, here's the twist. This is why I'm a desk adjuster and not a field adjuster. Well, predominantly. Get there. They realize Florence is just dropping a whole bunch of water and not a whole lot of wind. And
Mhm.
so they're like, a lot of those claims are going to be basically flood claims. And that's a different avenue, which there are flood adjusters, but we were property adjusters. And so they're like, there's just going to be a lot of denials. But here's what we're going to do because you guys have traveled here. And
Yes.
the manager, proceeds to call names out. And he goes, if I call your name, go to the front of the class and stand on the wall. My name was, of course, number one. So after he calls about 15 to 20 names, he says, follow me upstairs, takes us to the call center, says, hey, we're going to allow you the chance to be a desk adjuster to make some of the money that you spent getting here. And if you're able to learn the process and we need you to stay on, you can continue working. Well, needless to say, that was in September of 2018. I didn't leave until March of 2019, which was unheard of for a cat deployment inside of State Farm. But I did it for what's that, 7 months, 6 months. And so yeah, and while I was there, the manager was there. Basically said, if you're gonna do it, be a desk adjuster, get as many licenses as you can
Mhm.
because that makes you very desirable for these firms because they're like you can handle claims in any of these states that require you to be licensed in. So of course, I built my stockpile. I think I'm at like 29 licenses now. Um, so that ended in March. I took probably about a 2 month break and then went with another firm all the way until COVID. So February, March of 2020. So I actually got released before COVID shut everything down, like 2 weeks before. So it
Mm.
was kind of crazy. Got home, did like everything, everybody else, wondering what's going on. Then I just started getting a bombardment of texts and emails. Hey, would you be available for this and for that? I'm like, I don't really know what's going on. I really don't want to go out. I haven't been going out. Do you have anything work from home? And initially they were like, no, we're still seeing
Mhm.
how that's going to go. But of course, you got to keep it going, whether people can come in or not. And so I picked up a work from home assignment in July of 2020. It lasted until November of 2020, just because I still felt like I needed a little break dealing with all the stuff out in the real world. And let's say February of 2021, I got a call from a friend, and she mentioned this firm and said, "Hey, they have work from home assignments." And I referenced you. Would you be interested? I said, yes, I would. Probably 30 minutes later, I got a call. March the 16th of 2021, I started working for this firm and I just ended my assignment last Wednesday. So
Wow.
that's 2 years, 2 months straight of working. I've cleared over $250,000. Uh, well, closer to three than quarter, just to be modest. Uh, Yeah, I
Ju-
need some time now. That's a year. Yes, a long time
As
uh,
a desk adjuster, everyone.
as a desk adjuster, working
The
from
wow
home,
is right,
saving.
Gary. The wow is right, honey. Yes.
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 And don't get me wrong. I still took vacations. I still took some time off if I needed to handle some things because it's like your work speaks for yourself. They'll
Mhm.
say, "Oh, these firms, these carriers, they don't want you to take this much time off." But if the work proves itself and you guys need an adjuster and I'm asking to be off 3 or 4 days to go take this little mini vacation, they'll usually give it to you. And if not, you're independent. If you decide, hey, this is more important and they're not willing to give me this week with my family, then you know what? I'm gonna holler at you guys. I'll go ahead and release myself, go enjoy my time and my family. And then
Mhm.
when I come back, I'll reach back out to you guys. If you have nothing, guess what? You aren't the only one on the block. I'll just start putting my name out to those people who were contacting me and I was turning down because I was working for you guys. There's so many opportunities, so many. And so, yeah, that's where I'm at right now. We're actually planning a summer vacation. We went on a cruise last fall, but we're planning a summer vacation after my son told me about 2 weeks ago. Says, Dad, I'm ready to go to a beach and play in the sand. It's been too long. I said, well, you know what? You're right. Let's go ahead and get that plan. So we got
Mm.
that coming up. And so yeah, that's where I'm at with it right now. Just waiting until I'm ready for my break to be over to throw my name back out there. Matter of fact, yesterday I got a text from that same company that I released myself from asking me if I'd like to come back and work in the Hell Reconciliation Unit. And I told her not at this time. And she said, well, whenever you're ready, please reach back out to us.
Basically, whenever you're ready to come back, we got a job for you.
Exactly.
I need a moment because I am almost in tears. Y'all don't know Jason like we know Jason, but when I tell you, I am in tears for almost several reasons. One, the confidence. The confidence that this man has right now versus when he first started and how
Oh
nervous
yeah.
he was was, and how he with so much anxiety of what do I do? Is it going to work? Da 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 da. Which I think is normal for everybody to come into this because you're you. This is really a stepping out on faith type of situation. You are definitely going into uncharted territory, walking into the unknown. Now we do our best to give our adjusters as much of a roadmap as we can to be successful in this industry. But again, you just never know how it's going to work out for everyone. And then the beauty of a wonderful brown baby saying, Daddy, I'm ready to go to the beach. It's been too long. And to be able, the mindset of your son to be so much different than what we're and our parents are accustomed to when we were growing up, right? Because I couldn't have had that conversation with my mother and my father growing up, right? But how beautiful is it that your son can? And that's just because for everything it has to be the why, right? And that why for you is so strong, and I hear it and I see it and I love it, and I just, if I hadn't said it, I am so absolutely proud of you.
Thank you.
Absolutely just proud, and proud that you allowed, that you chose us really um to do this with, to be on this journey with, because whoo, okay, that that's beautiful. And thank you
And
for
I
all
will,
the timelines. Thank you.
yes,
Go ahead.
and I will say this, she's right. When I was heading to Florida, trying to figure out what the next step was, I'm pretty sure I blew Charlene's phone up.
Mhm.
And I was
Yes, I
leaving
remember the
voicemails
combos.
saying, "What's next?" And she's like, "Just calm down. They're gonna tell you." And she was right. You know, once you get over those initial jitters and you start hearing the lingo more and more, and you just pick it up. It's a matter of repetition.
Hmm.
And it really it's fluent throughout the different carriers. Yeah, they have their different nuances and everything, but it's
Hmm.
really repetition, reading and understanding and applying what you read. That's as far as the claim handling per the policy. And then like Charlene said, then you take that knowledge and combine it with measurements as far as the construction of a home if you're in the property, and you merge those two together. And like I said, they're going to take their time with you and understand that you're new, so you're not going to come in writing up an estimate in even a day. You know, they're going to go ahead and do as much as you can, and they also want you to speak out when you don't know it, because
Hmm.
they know you don't know it. They don't want you to sit there and waste time, because time is
Yes.
very important when handling claims, because you want to get them resolved as quickly and efficiently as possible. Because as a homeowner, you're trying to get back to your regular life. Go ahead and get my roof fixed and get my walls painted, and we can go ahead and get back in here, as opposed to, oh, it's been 3 weeks or 4 weeks on a claim that's so small. What's going on? And that does link itself to that customer service, and we are in the industry of customer
Hmm.
service. And some firms will say they're in the industry of customer service first, and then claims and everything else second. Because without their
Yes.
customers, they wouldn't be in business. And so once you understand that, and like Charlene said, you may not be the best as far as estimating, but you talk to those customers and you were able to calm them down in a matter of serious urgency, and they just lost everything, but you're able to talk to them and tell them, "Hey, we got you. I'm going to do the best that I can to get you back in your home, or if if it's complete loss, or get you rebuilt and move forward with the process." Doing that has done more than leaps and bounds over being a discrepancy in an estimate amount with their contractor.
Hmm.
Like, you can have that conversation with the contractor and your numbers are off. You may have those insured that are like, "Well, what's going on?" But if you're transparent and you're telling them what's going on, you don't get as many calls, you don't get as many emails, and you're able to do your job much, much more effective. And it's much more
Yes.
rewarding that way too.
Yes. Yes. And that's it. And what I also love about what you shared too, what just came to me as you were talking, is the perseverance, because I know of people who have tried to do this and kind of came into the same sort of obstacles that you hit with. Oh, I did all this, I went on all the rosters and I still wasn't, getting any biters. Or they called me, but then they canceled it, right? So forth and so on. And I have known for that to happen to other individuals, and that was all that they needed to be like, I'm not doing it, right?
Mhm.
However, you were determined. Your mindset was like, this is what I'm gonna do. Quitting the job after that first deployment, and then still having that time in between where it could have definitely been a period of complete uncertainty, which I'm sure it was enough for you to quit and just say, I'm just gonna go back to doing what I used to do. I mean, you went from being like in this very technical position to working in a warehouse essentially, right? And
That's what.
but that did not fault like your faith,
Yes.
your assurance, knowing, look, this is what I'm going to do. It did not falter at all. You telling everybody that you work at is what you need to do, and they probably looking like, you talking about all this money, all this opportunity, you sitting right here with me, right? uh you know what I'm saying? Like, how you gonna tell me that, you right across the aisle from me, what you talking about? You know what I'm saying? But you did not let that discourage you. And that's the thing. And I think that's with anything that you go out there and pursue in life, but especially in this industry and doing this, is be consistent and persevere and push through. Because again, like I tell people, yes, it may take you a little whatever to get in, but once you in, no, and you got it. And now look at that, that was 2017, and then you go and fast forward right now to 2023, baby, and you like, I took off, I released myself, I got enough money saved up. I'm a whole family of 4, 5 people over here. I got a wife, 2, 3 kids, right? Obligations, so forth and so on. And I still took time off, right? And then I'm not ready to go back. And the beauty that now you're at the level because you did stick with it. And because every deployment, every opportunity, every experience got you closer and closer to where you are right now, to get to the point where you're like, they're calling and you're like, well, yeah, I'm not ready to come back. And they're like, well, whenever you are, go ahead and hit us up,
Right.
because we got something for you. If we ain't got enough for you, we're gonna make something for you, basically. Right. And the to go from there to there, like if we could do a montage of the growth, right, it would be awesome. And so, like, don't be discouraged, you all, when if you decide to go this route, want to hang with us and help us take you through this. It's gonna get, it may be whatever, like Gary, like, whatever, and then a big old hurricane comes along and boom, he's off to the races. Or it could be a situation like what Jason had, where it was kind of hot then cold then lukewarm then cold, but he stuck with it. That is the key. He did not give up, he was not discouraged, and he was determined. He spoke it, he manifested it. I'm gonna be an adjuster, this is what I'm gonna do. And then he didn't even know, he's thinking field in his mind, and didn't even know that the whole desk adjusting opportunity was right there. And the fact that those people called out a few people and you were one of them, and you're the first name called, and it's like, listen, come on upstairs. And that's the thing about these adjusting firms, they're human too. A lot of them were adjusters at one point before they started adjuster firms, so they know what it feels like to be called out, go out of town, pack your bags, spend your money, spend your gas to get to a location, only to be told, we ain't got no work for you, right? Or the order was wrong, whatever the case may be. And for them, just your countenance, my brother. I look, hand clap, raise the roof, all of the above, thumbs up, the love. Listen, because, oh my God. Oh my God. So what was it, Jason, that made you push through despite everything that was in front of you, that was kind of like, this may not work out? Because a lot of people, we give up too easily, I think sometimes. Life has been made so
I
easy for
agree.
some of us. So
I
what made
agree.
you not quit or not get really skeptical or kind of like jaded or bitter about it and be like, this ain't, yeah, they said it was going to be all of this, but look at this that I'm going through.
Well, I would say the like I say, coming back to reality, making the wages that, you know, back in the warehouse, and
Mhm.
even though they gave me the raise and everything, it's a matter of knowing that it's out there. Um, and I'll even add this: it's not regular, but it does happen. While I was in Birmingham doing that desk adjuster assignment for Florence, I had a great supervisor who actually had only done field uh, prior to coming in and being our manager. He stated he didn't like the environment on the inside, but He did it because it was an opportunity for him to add something under his belt.
Mm.
And as we essentially got cool to where he was transparent with me, I said, hey, what's the most you've ever made in a week? I'm just curious. I love numbers. So he goes, well, I was a field adjuster out in California during the wildfires. So it's kind of, construed, but I've made some pretty hefty checks. He said the check may, get paid. They may have gotten paid weekly, but he was like, for one of those checks, it did take him about 2 weeks. And I'm like, well, what are you talking about? The guy was so transparent. He pulls up the web page with his pay stubs, and he goes to an area. He goes, it's one of those checks. Click on one of those. And I kid you not, I clicked on the check. Now this is weekly checks, and it was like for $73,000. I clicked on the next link. It was like for 40 something thousand dollars. I clicked, and he goes, now that's just 2 weeks. I'm like, you made $110,000 in 2 weeks? Oh my God. To know that money's out there, I'm like, you're making athlete money. He goes, yeah, it was hard because he had to rebuild an entire house. But as you said, it's a skill to learn what you want to do and to take the time to put to it, you can make it. And so seeing those, of course, I clicked a couple more. He cleared a quarter mil in a month, of course. And so, yeah. And so seeing that, and I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do. To the point where, and this is a little sidebar, and I just want to mention this because of manifestation. He had the access because he's a manager. The firm allowed him to rent whatever car he wanted to rent while he was there on the deployment. And so he got this Dodge Charger Scat Pack. And I told him how my old car in college was a Charger, not a Hemi, just a base model. And so when he brought it, he's like, it's just a car. I said, can I drive it? He goes, yes, you can drive it. I went on lunch and I proceeded to drive the car up and down the highway. My whole hour lunch, I just drove his rental car. And I loved it. I absolutely. Now, this was February 2019. Fast forward 8 months while I'm in Mobile working for another firm, another carrier. I decide, okay, it's time for me to go get a car. Second car, I'm in this rental. Let me go ahead and get the car. I go to look for RT, which you're probably not familiar with that, but one of the lower model Chargers. And the guy goes, hey, how are you doing? We don't have that car, it's sold, but we do have this gray, which my car in college was gray 2019 Dodge Charger Scat Pack.
Wow.
The same car that I drove, and I was like, I gotta have this car. 8 months later, I'm at the dealership, not even looking for that car. He sends me on a test drive. He asks, what do I do? Tell him I'm an adjuster down in the area. Of course, Mobile is like a hub for the firms down there. So he already knows. He didn't ask to see a check stub. I don't even think he probably ran my credit, but I don't think he was adamant about it. $0 down. And he told me to come back 2 days later. And I picked up my 2019 Dodge Charger Scat Pack with 12 miles on it.
Baby. It's what the adjuster life can do for you, okay? Not what you can do for the adjuster life.
Right.
Listen, okay? I love that, Jason.
Oh, I also want to add that I got my wife in the industry. She's done auto. She's done some auto. My daughter, she's actually done field a few assignments. Her last assignment ended about 2 months ago. She was in the Northeast up there near Virginia and Pennsylvania. And then out of those, I would also add my nephew, he just turned 21 this January. He's been adjusting for 3 years now.
Wow.
He was actually planning to go to the military, but he wasn't sure, and he didn't want to follow his dad in the trucking industry. And I told him to give it a try. And he applied for his Georgia license. And I said, well, don't go through Georgia, even though I know you go through Georgia, work the trick out. Texas may be a little bit easier.
Right.
He goes, well, I'm gonna try it again. He fails the second time. So finally he calls and
He
says,
didn't come through T-Pass.
and I told him he was trying to go the quick way. And I'm like, well, just wait till the next class or something. And he's like, I can't wait. I'm like, well, you're not passing the test either. Go the route that I went. He goes, well, okay. So he ends up calling me back like a week later, says, I found a way to go through Texas. I passed. What do I do now? I basically gave him the blueprint of what to do next from T-Pass. Even though it had been 5, 6 years later, that's always going to stick with me. You know, get on as many rosters as possible. Reach out. They don't know who you are. Make them know who you are.
Yes.
And then that way you will be able to get a job. And so he's actually been working desk for the most part for the last 2 years until January. He went out to Pennsylvania, and because the knowledge that he gained as a desk adjuster, he basically has all of Pennsylvania to himself, and he has been there for the past 5 months. He moved out his mom and dad house last year, well, when he turned 19. He's bought his own car, Mercedes, I think like the big body Mercedes, because he has no kids, no bills, no nothing, nothing. And to drop basically a career that you can make 6 figures easily, well, not easily, but put in the time and the work. You don't have no bills, no debt, no nothing. Yeah, he's living a life. He's fashion. I call him Fashion Jaren because he'll buy the Steve McQueen shoes for 2 grand. I'm like, man, to
Because
be
he
20 years
can.
old
Because he got
with a
started
hundred
so
some thousand
early,
dollars.
he has no debt to make up for it. He's
Nope.
free. He's
Yep.
financially free.
Mm.
I love that. I love the nephew story. I need to talk to the nephew. Listen, I'm gonna scold him a little bit, but then I'm gonna go ahead and
I got you. I got
So,
you.
so Jason, like I want to go the number real quick. So you said you've now made over $250,000 within a year's time.
Within 2 years' time. It was
Within
about
2
100, about 127, and then it went up a little bit, about 130. So about 260 in 2 years.
versus your first deployment, how much did you make that very first time?
In 6 weeks, I probably made about 18,000.
Hey, some people it take a whole year to make that. Let's be honest. Let's be real. We got too many people living below the poverty line. So, and oh God, I want to keep going with you, but I got to stop. But last words of advice, just like I asked Gary.
Okay.
We got folks listening in. We got folks hearing your story. I'm sure minds are being blown right now because you're blowing my mind. Any words of advice that you would like to give to someone who is looking at this and considering it for a path for them to take for employment and possibly a career?
Give it a shot. There's nothing wrong with trying. Give it a shot. Try it. You actually have to try it. My story's great. Gary's story is great. You're going to have people who have horror stories, but that's no different than any other line of work. So I really feel like you just have to give it a try and be patient with it because there are so many opportunities and so many jobs that if you're actually putting forth the work, you'll get the reward. Now, don't try and put a timeline on it because everything differs, but you will get your just rewards by putting that time in, being patient, and learning the industry to the best of your ability. And then I think if you do that, you'll be successful. And no matter what path that you decide to take, if you decide to keep going with it.
Yes. Thank you, Jason. Oh my God. Everybody, please give Jason a round of applause. Yes. I don't know why this thing got my little hand thing, but anywho, yes. Jason, thank you so much. And again, if anybody has any questions, I see the chat is filling up with questions. We're going to address them at the end of the workshop. So please put in your questions, your comments, whatever the case may be, and we'll make sure that we take a look at them and get them addressed. All right, so let's go ahead and continue on. Jason, oh my God, you got me fired right now. I'm like, dang, I wish I could start over so I could have another story to tell. Listen, so what opportunities exist for insurance adjusters? So, because insurance is incorporated in all areas of everyday life and business, as a result, there are multiple insurance policy subjects where an adjuster is needed. In addition, there are varying levels of expertise within each insurance subject. Here are some of the different types of insurance adjusting. So, we talked about automobile, we talked about property, but residential and commercial, boat, marine, environmental, BP spills, chemical disasters, trucking liability, that's your 18-wheelers, surety bonds, contracts between a player and a sports team, an actor or an actress and the production company like a Disney or whatever. Guess what? Those contractual relationships have to be insured. Did you know that when Carrie Fisher died, who was Princess Leia, for the new Star Wars trilogy or whatever. You know, y'all know her from the old Star Wars, but they brought her back. Well, she died in the middle of them making a 3-part movie, and Lloyd's of London had the surety bond for Disney with that contractual relationship between the three of them, and Disney ends up getting paid $50 million as a result. There was an adjuster who handled that claim, okay? Workman's compensation, flood insurance. So, and the list goes on. Opportunities are available for graduates to become staff or independent adjusters. An independent adjuster operates as an independent contractor. So once you become an independent adjuster, if you want to go that route, you are now your own business owner. Okay, so the money that you spend towards this career is all now a tax write-off. All right, so with that, that's another reason of how we retain our money. We talk about working smarter, not harder. And here at TPAS, what I love about what we do that's different from any of the other companies that train and do what we do, we actually care about your success, not just you getting the job, but you being able to be financially successful as a person in your community. So we tap you into a master accountant. We talk about how to you know, what you can file on your taxes, what you can't, what you can claim for your write-offs and what you can't, so forth and so on, how to spend your money, the best hotels to stay at where you get the best deals, get those hotel points and those rental car points and all that that you can take advantage of later. We talk about those things here. So how are insurance adjusters compensated? So depending on what they do, and I've had to change some of these numbers, and again, depending on for the staff adjusters, it depends a lot on the insurance carrier, and the role that their position that they're filling with that carrier will depend on their low earnings or their highest earnings, right? I know people who went staff and they make over $100,000 a year. So for a staff adjuster, if they're in the office, their starting salary may be somewhere around 40,000. Now this is an average amount. Some can be lower, some can be higher, with potential earnings at about 75,000 or above. If they're in the field, a staff person may start off at about 60,000. Again, that's an average amount, with their potential earnings going above 100,000. So once employed staff adjusters, they are eligible for benefits versus an independent adjuster. If you're working in the office, now again, some of jobs are out there that give you at the lowest about $300 a day, and you can earn above $400 a day. When I was in the office, I think when we started, we were making $385 a day, $385 a day. My highest earnings as an in-office adjuster, I want to say, was $500 a day. And then in the field, depending on how you start, and there's different ways to make money in the field. You can make money hourly, like Gary was talking about, but then they also have what we call a fee schedule that you can also get your earnings from, which is you will get basically a flat fee amount based on how much the estimate for the damages for that particular claim came to be. And so when that happens, all those add up, those little fee amounts add up for every day, for every claim you closed each day, and then you can get a lot of money. That's probably what happened with the gentleman like Jason was talking about, where he had checks for 43,000, 75,000. He was probably getting paid on fee schedule, and he was probably getting assigned, because he was an experienced adjuster, to large loss claims, especially in California for a fire. Those houses, total loss, houses over $1 million, so forth and so on. With the fee schedule, after the amount of the estimate gets so big, you start getting paid a percentage of how much that estimate total came to. So if he did $1 million house and he's getting paid 1% of that, you can see how those checks can get real fat real fast. Also with the field, so if you're on that hourly, you can get anywhere low end $400 a day, going all the way up to $1,000 a day or above. And independent adjusters are contracted for term deployments on an as needed basis. Our job as independents is to work ourselves out of a job. So when you finally get what we call released for the first time, don't take it like I just got fired. It's going to feel like that. Your heart's going to sink down into your stomach. But what it is you got released from that opportunity to be able to take advantage of another. And that's how you have to set it in your mind. So with that said, I am going to stop this share. The last two pages on the career pack we're going to share after our last speaker speaks. And without further ado, the belle of the ball of this entire workshop. Trust me, Jason and Gary know, and they will not be offended by anything that I say about this woman from this point forward. Deborah Johnson, super
you.
content adjuster. Super, okay, everybody get around. Look, I didn't even say give a round of applause. A round of applause for Deborah Johnson, everybody. Yes, sexual
Thank you guys.
terror.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Jason, so much. Yep, I'm Deborah Johnson, and I am a content suggester. And I am, let me just say this. I started as in 2005, and I was working for Chrysler. And I've been working for Chrysler for 10 years. And every day I prayed that I could do something different because I did not like what I did. I was working in a factory, and I only did that job because I was a manager for insurance adjusters for medical claims. But the company was moving. I could not leave my children. I had to take care of my children, which was my daughter and my son. I'm divorced. I'm not getting any child support. And their father is on some wheat. Okay. So I'm just doing the best I can by myself. My mother was not one of those, I'm going to help you out with the kids, mama. No, she was not. It was like you on your own. So my whole life has been dedicated to taking care of myself financially, taking care of myself as far as my family. And when I started life, it was tough. When I started, I had a really tough upbringing. And then I ended up dropping out of school in the 5th grade because I didn't see the point. All I wanted to do was work, and I wanted my life to work, and I couldn't understand how school was going to get me there. So I didn't have a whole bunch of people to consult with, to talk to about my life. But one thing I always wanted, I just wanted my life to work, and I didn't know what that would look like or what that was. So when I was told that, okay, well, you can't travel, so we're going to have to let you go. And I went to work for Chrysler. I hated it every day, but it got my daughter through college. It got us, continually moving forward. And we did the best we could as a family. She would have to get her brother ready because I worked in the afternoon, like almost all night in the mornings. So it was tough staying up, making sure my kids went to school, and then taking a nap and getting up and doing my family's business. So it was very, very busy for me. When the opportunity came, though, in 2005, my sister called me and told me that Katrina had happened and that this company by the name of Pilot Catastrophe Services was looking for, field adjusters. And I went, well, I've never done any field claims. And she said, well, I'm just calling you to let you know. And I thought about it. I had just come off my second knee surgery because I got hurt at the job twice. I've been on the unemployment, the workman's comp, and my house was in foreclosure because I was not getting enough money to take care of it. I didn't know what I was going to do. I knew I needed about a 20% increase in order to take care of everything I needed. But what happened was I said, you know what? Screw it. I ran upstairs. I applied for Pilot Catastrophe Services. I waited. The next day they called me while I was sitting on my fork truck. The man said, I'm here. I'm going to interview you over the phone. All I remember the man saying was $385 a day. That's all I heard. That's all I heard. He said it's 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. And Gary, I was just adding that up when you were saying that, because remember at this time, there wasn't a lot of us that were in this field. So I'm here in 2005. Gary's talking about $68 an hour on something. We were doing 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, which no, it was $325, which came out to about $27 an hour. But we ain't care. I mean, who gets paid $27 an hour for OJT? I'm just saying, so we was just basically just walking around doing classes for like weeks on end and basically getting paid. But what happened was when I got that call, I made the agreement. I left my job. I got a leave of absence from Chrysler for 4 months. And I went down to Mobile, Alabama with my sister, Tony, my oldest sister, because I didn't have any money. My oldest sister rented us a vehicle. My sister Tony and I scraped up what we could. I had an unemployment check, and she got the money that she could get from our people and our family members. But the first day we're down there in orientation, they separate us because I'm going into something that I have no idea what this is. So the first meeting, they say that we're going to put you in the help room teaching new adjusters this estimating platform because of your computer skills. And I'm thinking, well, I don't know that program. Don't worry, we're going to teach it to you at $27 an hour. So my sister ended up in the MRU, which is Mobile Response Unit, and she went to Mississippi. So here I am by myself without my sister, and now I got a hotel room that I'm trying to pay for on my own. I got a car now that I'm trying to pay for on my own. So I called everybody in St. Louis I knew. I called everybody telling them about this opportunity. And I called my daughter. I said, you know what? You tired of that job with the union? I got something for you. And everybody kept saying, even my mom went, but it's temporary, Deborah. It's temporary. And you don't have no benefits. Let me tell you something. Everything in life is temporary. I worked for the aerospace company, and I kept in Inglewood, not Inglewood, but El Segundo, California. McDonnell Douglas, huge aircraft, Lockheed, all of that, kept getting laid off. I'm sure if you look at somebody who was working for a company like Chrysler, like I was, which 2.5 years later, they closed the whole plant, tore down the building, and now it is gone. It's all temporary. Life is temporary. And it's all the same hour. It just depends on what you want to get paid for it. We're getting ready to talk, okay? We're getting ready to talk, y'all, for real. So
Talk about it. Talk about it.
my daughter came to me, and later in years, I asked her, I said, Charlene, I called so many people telling them they had 1,001 questions, right? But what made you just jump the boogie and come on with me? Charlene is my daughter, so I have to say my daughter. Come with your
Spoiler
mama.
alert. We're related.
And so she told me, she said, Mama, because I know you don't play about your money. She right, I don't. We don't play. I'm in a generation where we don't play about our money. We don't play about taking care of our families. We just don't play about it. My daughter came down there and she was like my second ears and eyes. She started ear hustling. We started going to different classes they were having for contents. And then all of a sudden the lady said, well, the contents adjusters don't know how to put in the MSB one line estimate. And so I raised my hand and I said, my daughter does. And she looked at me like, Mom. And I'm like, yeah, here she is right here. And I pointed to her. And so they had her come to the front of the room. So when Gary's talking about all of those chance things happening that you can't plan, you just got to be there. See, you can't see this on the outside. You got to get in here to really see it. So her getting us in the class, she getting in front of the room, she explaining to these new adjusters, these other people who are running the show looking at her. So a couple of maybe a few days later, we get a phone call. Y'all want to be contest adjusters?
Mm-hmm.
We got one for the field and the other one in Mobile. I think it was in Louisiana. And we would say, no, we got to stay together because I done turned them to rent a car. We got one car working, and Charlene had a neon baby, and we made it work. So right before Wilma was hitting, Charlene and I were on our way to Lake Mary, Florida, to be contest adjusters. And that's where it really, really started. We were in an office with 250 other adjusters. Everybody's brand new. And see, by this time, when I left Christ, I made about $75,000 a year. And that's it, right? When I took this opportunity, I was making about $9,100 a month. That helped me get my house out of foreclosure. So now my house is not in foreclosure anymore. Now I'm more than that 25% increase. You're right. I didn't have the benefits, but by this time, Chrysler benefits weren't really worth anything. They weren't like the benefits of the past years, like in aerospace, where 100% was paid for. No, then they were making you pay a premium on your insurance. So when you got through with all of that, you really didn't have very much. But what I noticed was I literally was able to pay for my own insurance. I had way better insurance. And the other part about it was that I wrote that insurance off on my taxes every single year. So I got better insurance literally for free. And then when it comes to travel, we talk a lot about the adjusters, we got to pay for, and that's exactly right. Me and Charlene shared a room at the Motel 6, and they left a light on for us. And we shared, it was like $55 a day. And her and I shared that. That room didn't have a microwave, not a refrigerator. It didn't even have an ironing board. We literally bought with the Sam's. I bought cases of water, cases of cup of noodles so we could pour the water in the cup, and then a case of the animal cookies. That was our treat, right? That's what we did.
We was making
But,
grilled cheese sandwiches with an iron and the ironing board. No, I'm just joking.
but here I was making $9,100, but I was trying to come up. You know what I'm saying? I had bills to pay. So when all of this stuff is going on at the same time, I'm thinking I'm able to get paid. So now we there about a year. I'm learning about, personal property, and they doing some stuff that I ain't never seen before. Like a judge did not want to fill out his list of his damaged contents at his second beach house. They literally gave me photographs that says write the man's estimate from these photographs and make it over $50,000. Okay. And that's what I did. So all of this kind of stuff is going on, but I'm learning. I'm really learning. But my very next assignment is in the field. So in 2006, I get a phone call. You want to work these, what was it? Snow. It was snow. Freeze. California freeze, right? Because in California, Northern California, or in California, period, they don't have basements, right? So all of the plumbing runs in the ceiling. So what happened was people left their homes, their beach houses, not thinking that it was going to, like, the temperature was going to drop. Pipes froze, burst, all this contents is damaged. And they're telling me your claims are going to be 400 miles in either direction. I was like, what? I didn't know how to do a claim in the field. I had no training. The nearest contents adjuster was about 2 hours away, and they were giving me claims that none of the other contents adjusters wanted. I didn't know what I was going to do. I had 95 cents to my name. I didn't have any more money. The rental car was coming due, and I didn't know what, And so I sat on the bed like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this. And I remember when I tried to quit the job, because I quit like 3 days later after I got that $1,200 check in orientation. Okay, I quit Chrysler, but I remember what they told me. If you quit the job, you may not be able to get it back for you. I didn't want it back. And I'm sitting there thinking, what are you going to do? It never occurred to me to quit. It was just, didn't know what to do. Right. And then someone that I had started dating, he called me. I told him what was going on. I said, I'm at to cancel these appointments. I don't have the money for gas. He said, can you get to the Walmart? I said, absolutely. He said, I'm getting ready to send you some money right now. That man sent me some money. I was able to put gas in that car, and I was able to pay for my room to keep going. But that was the miracle, because I got to the job where there was another field adjuster there who was also doing he was doing the house. And I told him I didn't know how to close claims. He said, this is what you do, Deborah. You pick up your claim. And back then we was all paper. I'm still paper today. He picked up things and pick up your folder and ask yourself, what do I need to close this file? And he said, you keep adding that on and moving it forward. You put that folder down and you pick up the next one. And you keep doing this over and over again. It's the system that I use today. I made that system my own, which is why when I left Pilot in 2015, I was one of the top contents adjusters. I was not matched anywhere. And still today, my skills keep getting bigger because I run towards challenges, not away from them, toward them. I didn't have to worry about work, assignments. I mean, I was doing $180,000, $200,000 easy. I was all over the country. Like Gary's talking about being somewhere a year and 2 years. That's how I was. They kept rolling me all over the place. And I loved it. This one contents adjuster came to me and she says, Deborah, I understand that you were number one. And I just want you to know that they told me I was number two. So you better look out, because I'm going to be, I'm basically going to take your spot. And I turned around, I said, and I'm going to say this to you guys right now. So what? Come on. Because you don't have any competition. There is no competition when it comes to this field. They don't care about how old you are. They don't care about how young you are. There is no recession here. You look around, like everybody is saying, COVID, recession. My friend said, Deborah, we losing our jobs. This is way before COVID. You seem to be making more money because of the industry that I am in. When people say, well, independent adjuster, that field is saturated, turn around and put them in your rearview mirror, because they have no clue what they're talking about. They haven't been in the industry enough. There is too much in here. I'm still learning about claims. Matter of fact, I got a call about doing insolvent claims. Really? When carriers go insolvent, those claims are still there. That state picks those claims up and try to move it as forward as they can with the amount of money that they got in their budget. I knew nothing about insolvent claims. I've been doing adjusting all these years, just found out about insolvent claims last year. You know, when you go and file for, you know how you win money at the lottery, them little tickets or whatever, those are claims. There's a claims adjuster behind all of this stuff, even in the prison system. Every time an inmate goes to get a haircut or goes to the doctor, it generates a claim. So those are opportunities. So it's not about the catastrophe claim. Get that from, to me, I'm going to tell you, get that out your mouth. You might be able to start like that, but the claims industry itself is so vast and so huge. I can't even conceive it. I'm still learning new stuff as I go along today. So when all of this is happening, I'm learning, I'm having hard times. I'm struggling because I'm away from my family doing holidays. My family means everything to me. Everything. I was raised that way. You know, we all got together, barbecues, you know, Pokino, you know how you do. That's what we do. But I was out learning my skill. I was out learning my craft. So then my mother stopped crying because she cried when I told her I was quitting Chrysler. She cried. But she stopped crying when I started sending her on a trip every single year to her favorite place, which is Las Vegas. Not only did I send her on an all expense paid trip, I had her select one of her friends and also pay for their entire trip. Not one room, but two rooms. Not one, everything was separate because my mother likes to have her hotel a certain way. So all of her friends now are fighting for my mother's attention because they want to go on that trip with her every year. I mean, spending money, none of that was an issue. I mean, I didn't need credit cards because I had plenty of cash. I never checked my bank account because I ain't have to. I was making the money so fast that I ain't never have time to even spend it. But I did
love
things
Jason nodding right now.
I love
Gary and Jason like, yep.
Yeah, that
but see,
feeling
I
of
know
not
it's all
having to
about
check your
money,
bank
but you
account.
gotta have a reason. I wanted my life to work, but today, one of my reasons for doing what I do, you know, is this little guy right here. That's my grandson.
Yeah.
He has autism. He needs a lot of extra help. It's going to cost money. My community needs help. It's going to cost money. About last year, I finally made the decision and started a non-for-profit organization. And it is in remembrance and to commemorate my sister Kathy, who died suddenly at 39, and my only brother Michael, who was found dead at 26 years old. That's how I give back to those who have been here for me. It's not about, a lot of this ain't about money. It's about what the money can do. That's
Come
really
on
what it's
now.
all about. Because I ain't trying to sell it to you. I'm not trying to sell the insurance industry or being an independent adjuster. I ain't trying to sell it to you. You know,
At
I'm
all.
trying to tell it to you. You know,
Listen,
and
you
this is
ain't
like
got to do
Run
it.
D.
Don't do it.
This is like Run DMC. I love Run DMC. And Run DMC said, if somebody's teaching, why don't you get taught? Now, you make a bunch of money, but that same money you sitting on, 80 grand a year, minus your taxes, because 80 grand ain't 80 grand out in the corporate world. Those are with benefits. That ain't real money, okay? You can still pay for your own benefits, get your own 401k. You can pay yourself, because I guarantee you, they don't pay you to go to work every day. You burning up your gas going back and forth to work every day. They ain't paying you for that. You do not get paid for that insurance. You don't get reimbursed for that. You can't go out and buy new computers like we do anytime we feel like it, cameras, anything else, and be able to charge that off. Even when I get my hair done, my nails done, my facials, that's part of my health. I'm in front of the public eye. I need to look a certain way. Guess what? All of that is charged off. All my facials, all my hair products, nail products, clothes, shoes, I got to look a certain way. Even my acupuncture and all of my vitamins, because I got to be in good health, I can write off. See, I'm not trying to sell you nothing. But you know what? I'm trying to tell you something, because this industry really does need you. You can start with the natural talents that God gave you. That's all I started with. All I started with is that I wanted to help somebody. I want to be of service. I want to help. And that's how I started. I'm good at organizing. I'm good at investigation. I'm good at documenting things, paying attention, all of that. Those were basic skills that God gave me when I was born. But I used those in this industry. I didn't have any degrees. Matter of fact, I went back to school, got a GED, and was in my senior year at Fontbonne University. When this came across, I left because I went to school so that I could make $100,000 a year. I was already doing that in less than a year. So I'd
Listen,
already achieved my goal. I was taking care of my family. Charlie, you need to stop. I'm sorry, you guys, but now that I am a business owner, now that we created Conscious
mhm.
Adjuster Team,
There we go. That's what I
Charlie,
wanted to get to. There you are.
Charlie created T-Pass in 2011, and she came to me, and I said, I ain't doing that.
She
You
so
know,
did. She turned me
I'm making too much money. I'm making too much. Anybody got time for that? Anybody got
She
time for
told
that?
me that. When
But
I
she,
first created the company, she was like, no, get somebody else to do it, is what she
but
told
she
me.
was so adamant about the fact that adjusters were coming in brand new like us. There was nobody to help us.
Right.
And people were dropping out like flies.
Mm-hmm.
People had quit jobs, everything, and was walking away with nothing.
Mm-hmm.
That just wasn't right. People was charging them a whole bunch of money just to speak to them. That ain't right, y'all. Ain't none of this stuff. I'm just saying. So when she put it to me, and she came back and she said, well, what if we made contents the flag program? The flag. I said, you know what? I'll do it. And we
Mm-hmm.
did it, and it was the best thing that I ever did because with her inspiration, being inspired by her, and being in class one day, and someone saying what they said about they couldn't find contents courses anywhere in this industry. And who were we working for? And I asked that class that day, do you think that we can build our own IA firm? And
Mm-hmm.
everybody in the class said, hell yeah. And I said, you know what? I'm going to build you the best IA firm I can. And I'm going to die trying. And to this day, Contents Adjuster Team is still here today since 2013 it was created. It has a lot of exposure now. You know, we are circuit speakers in some of the biggest conferences in the industry. We just had our first keynote presentation that we just did back in March.
Yes.
We have some of the people looking at us now. We just got vetted with AAA in the Western region to do contents in the field and remotely.
Yes, we
We've got, so these things are exciting because we went through a lot financially. Like we literally went through a financial bankruptcy, but still we didn't quit. You know why?
did.
Because everything's temporary. And if you believe in something, and because it wasn't about the money, the money was never the goal, but the accomplishment and doing something for my people and my industry and my heritage, and to reach back and to pay it forward, because I'm sitting where my ancestors could not have sat.
Come
I'm
on
doing
now.
things that my mother in her time wasn't even allowed to do as a woman.
Come on. Come
So
on.
this ain't never been about me. This stopped being about me a long time ago. Because if it was about me, I'd have kept working and getting my cheese. But it didn't. Because people calling me constantly, you got $20, $50? Really? That means that my people also need a solution because I did. So let me help my people because somebody helped me.
Mhm.
So that's all I got, you know. Oh, and if I got my last little words,
Your last words. Yes, please,
my
ma'am.
last little
Yes,
words.
please.
You know, I love to read, and I've been reading the book Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, since back in the 90s.
Come on now.
And one of the things that he talked about is that if you think you are beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you like to win but think you can't, it's almost certain you won't. If you think you'll lose, you're lost. For out in the world we find success begins with a fellow's will. It's all in the state of mind. If you think you're outclassed, you are. You've got to think high to rise. You've got to be sure of yourself before you can ever win a prize. Life battles don't always go to the stronger or faster man, but sooner or later, the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. Thank you.
Deborah Johnson, everyone. Deborah Johnson. Drop the mic. Drop the mic. Y'all see, she has never done this before for one of our workshops. And baby, we can just shut down. We ain't gotta do no more workshops after this. We just record this video, edit it, and throw it on repeat. Really, Mom? And yes, this is my mother, ladies and gentlemen. That was not a joke. She is my real life mamacita, and I love her, love her, love her, love her, love her. And yes, the story goes deeper than even what we talked about. But baby, thank you so much. Thank you. And yes, she is truly what she says she is. She runs into the face of difficulty. And us starting this adjusting firm, baby, it has been a journey. And we still on it. But we ain't gave up. We like Jason. We persevering. We everything in front of us say, just gonna give up. Just gonna let that go. All right. But we say no. We say no. All right. So with that said, we getting close to the end. I ain't seen no questions come up in the chat, but that's okay. We're gonna read this last little part. And then we're going to wrap this thing right on up. Thank you so much, everybody. Please, once again, let's thank Miss Deborah Johnson for her input, her testimony, sharing her wonderful words of wisdom. Thank you so much, Ma. I love you. So what is required to be an adjuster? To be an adjuster, you must be licensed by your resident state. If your resident state does not issue adjuster license, does not issue an adjuster license, you can apply with a licensing state as a non-resident. For those who are in Missouri, Missouri is one of the 16 states that do not issue an adjuster's license. Missouri doesn't issue one, Illinois doesn't issue one, and the list goes on. So what we do here is we go with the Texas adjuster's license since Missouri doesn't issue one. So once licensed in Texas, a non-resident license can be applied for based on reciprocity rules in other states without meeting their pre-licensing requirements. So for the state of Texas, what you will have to do is go to a pre-licensing course. That's our course that we offer here at TPAS. We actually have one coming up. We just wrapped up one earlier this week and another one last week. We got another one coming up on June, I want to say June 22nd, but we'll get to the dates in just a minute. And so once you get that adjuster's license, you won't have to, for states that are reciprocal with Texas, because of the 50 states, I want to say, and if I'm wrong on these numbers, forgive me because I haven't looked at them in a while. But last that I checked, of the 50 states, 36 of them, I think, require an adjuster's license to either work claims in that state or for that state. And the other ones, you don't have to have, they don't issue a license for. Now, of those 36 states that issue an adjuster's license, I want to say 28 of them have reciprocity with the Texas All Lines license, which is why we start with Texas first for our training. And so what that means is for those other states, once you have that Texas license, you won't have to do a pre-licensing course like you will with the Texas one. All you would have to do is just apply, pay your licensing fee, and you get the license for those other states. Now, the states that are not reciprocal with Texas, you will have to do a course and take an exam and all of that again. All right, so the Texas All Lines Adjuster's License is the most popular adjuster license in the country. So for Texas, this is what they require. You must be 18 years or older. You must be a U.S. citizen or a legal alien who possess a work authorization from the U.S. Immigration and Naturalization Services. You must complete an adjuster pre-licensing course or pass the Texas state exam. I will let you all know our pre-licensing course includes an approved Texas exam, so you won't have to do that through another entity. And then complete the Texas adjuster license application and submit it with the fee. And then the only thing you have to do to sustain the license is there are continuing education credits that we have to do every 2 years. I think right now it's 26 hours total, and our license is good for 2 years. So, and when your license is ready to renew, you make sure that you've taken your continuing education credits and you pay a renewal fee, and boom, you got it for the next 2 years. So let's talk about the upcoming courses. So TPAS recommends the Texas All Lines Adjuster's License as the first step to becoming an insurance adjuster. It is the industry preferred license for Texas residents and non-residents. The Texas All Lines Adjuster Pre-Licensing course is approved by the Texas Department of Insurance. It also satisfies what we call for short TDI, Texas Department of Insurance, pre-licensing course and exam requirements for obtaining the Texas All Lines Adjuster's License. A lot of Texas in that sentence. So once you complete the course and pass the exam administered by TPAS, you are then eligible to apply for your Texas All Lines Adjuster's License. And here at TPAS, part of what we do is our services. When you sign up for the course, it also includes mentorship, assistance with filling out that application, so you know what steps to take and you're not in the dark trying to figure it out on your own like we had to when we first started, as well as mentorships for 6 months after you get your licensing, all right, or after you take the course. So here is the schedule of the classes that we have coming up for the rest of the year. It looks like our next one for June is going to be June 26th through the 28th. Right now, courses are virtual. You will have it's not self-study, all on 100% self-study. The course will be live. It will be virtual. So it'll be set up kind of like how this meeting is. Everybody will have their cameras turned on and your instructor will teach you from here. You'll have access to an online classroom to get your documents, take your exam, all of the above. Now, there is pre-study work that you have to do on your own prior to the course, because our course is only 3 days. We got it approved for that for Texas because we give you pre-study material that usually takes about 16 to 20 hours to work through prior to attending the class. So if you're thinking about signing up, then definitely take into account your pre-study work. It's not a good idea to underestimate that pre-study work. Am I right, Gary, Jason? Okay. You want to get that thing done early. It's going to take you a while to work through. And so I'll have a lot of people that try to sign up on a Thursday for a class that starts on a Monday. You're going to be bogged down for the rest of the weekend trying to get that thing done. So don't procrastinate and stress yourself out for no reason. Get ahead of it. Get your seat in early. Plus, because it is virtual, I do limit how many people can sign up. Okay. So with that said, if you want to sign up, just go to our website right here at the bottom, tpas.llc/TX for Texas _licensing. That will take you to our Texas All Lines pre-licensing course sign-up page. There's some more information to read at the top of the page. If you scroll down to the bottom, it'll load and you'll see the dates and you can select which date you want to sign up for, and then go ahead and go through the payment process. If you have any questions, always feel free to give us a call. You can call us on our company line at 877-466-6698, or you can even send me an email if you like. My email address, and I will put it here in the chat. Okay, all classes are virtuals except the one listed in Chicago. And actually, somebody just said about that, we are changing that format for Chicago. Chicago's gonna be virtual too. We are making Chicago virtual. Right now, I'm not doing any in-person classes. Now, I will say this. If you are interested and you know a group of people who want to do a class and they're like, I can't learn the same unless it's in person, I understand that. If that is the case, I need a minimum of 10 people to sign up for a class, money in hand and ready. Okay, and I will come to wherever you want me to come to with 10 people signed up and full reimbursement for travel expenses. All right, so just let you all know that option is out there for you if anybody has a group that you all want to do it together. And I definitely encourage, if you have family members, friends, you want to do a mother-daughter team. You see us, right? You want to do a brother-sister team like Gary and Nicole. You want to do a husband and wife team like Jason and Nikki. Those options are available, and it's actually really good, right? Because you can share you can cut down on expenses. You can share the hotel room. You can share the, rental car, whatever the case may be, right? We even have husband and wife teams in the field where the husband is the one that gets on the roof. The wife is the one that stays on ground level at the car. And some people walkie-talkie each other and say, all right, wife, now give me 20 shingles on this and this and that. Okay. And the wife puts the estimate together. The husband does the inspection. So those options are there. All right. So there's a lot of different things you can do with this. Don't put You know how they say in church, don't put God in a box. Don't put insurance claims adjusted in a box. All right, because I just made that up. You see that I'm coming off the cuff with it today. But anyhow, but it's true though, right? Am I right, you all? It's true. I mean, it's too much variety. So with that said, I'm at 2:02. Let me check the chat and see if we have any questions before we wrap this thing up. Let me see. You are welcome anytime, Deborah Johnson. Good to see. Good to hear from you, Sherry. Sherry said something. I put my email in there. Thank you. Spending time. You are so welcome, Steve. Appreciate. Okay, Deborah's over here. You on point now with this chat, Deborah Johnson. Thank you,
She's the
Terrence.
moderator.
Y'all, I
I like
know.
to
Thank
just
you,
like
moderator.
communicate. You
Terrence
welcome.
said, Terrence said he had no questions because we answering everything. Well, that's good. At least we're thorough. And Deborah said, appreciate the feedback. I want to thank you for the panel. Thank you, Steve. Thank you. We appreciate it. Steve said, thank you for sharing, everyone, sharing your story.
Aw.
And then Sherry, we verify all classes are virtual except the ones listed in Chicago. Yes, Chicago's going virtual too. We tried to do a live class for Chicago last week, and it was decided that everything is really more convenient for everybody to be virtual. So that's why we did that. You are so welcome, Steve. Okay, appreciate you. Yes, thank you all for spending time with us. Sherry, Steve, who else do we have here? Hold on, let me close that window and open this one. Sorry, you all. I'm still learning how to work. We didn't put the
Terrence commented too. He commented.
Terrence comment, thank you. Thank you for this. I truly appreciate this company. Oh, you are so welcome, Sherry. Thank you. Yes, thank you for being here, Miss Tiana, Mr. Terrence, Mr. Steve, Miss Sherry, Mr. Leon, and Miss Bridget. Thank you. Yes, Leon Clay is here also. Yes, thank you, Leon. And actually, Leon is also one of our TPAS trained adjusters as well. So, thank you,
And he's
Leon.
got a great story too. Yeah.
He actually does have a great story. So maybe the next workshop we can put Leon on and he can share his story. And he did this as a single dad. So listen, when I say if your mind is fixed, if you are there's a song that I'm thinking of, but I can't come up with the lyrics, but there's it's a gospel. My mind's made up. No turning back.
Really?
Hands turning, cause I'm on the right track. Listen, when your mind is made up, look, I do come up with random song, but you're welcome. But what I've been to church in a while, y'all. Lord forgive me. Baby, you better say that. Yes, Sherry. Listen, my mind's made up. No turning back. When your mind is made up. There's nothing that can stop you from achieving your goals. That's it. And so before we go, any last words, Deborah, Gary, Jason, before we let everybody go?
Just real quick, everyone have a great and safe, Memorial Day holiday.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. I agree. I concur. I second that emotion. Please, you all be safe. Don't go too hard and don't renege on none of them spades games. All right. Because I know
Oh.
big. So yeah, count your
Or at
cards.
least don't get caught. Or at least don't get caught.
Don't get caught.
I'm just saying. Pay attention to the board.
Count the cards. What was you about to say, Gary? You look like you about to say something.
I was just gonna say, everybody, come make some of this money. Come get
I
this
know that's
bread.
right. I know that's right.
All right, I know y'all. We can be on it all day, but we got to wrap it up. Thank you so much for spending part of your Saturday with us and during Memorial Day weekend, no less. We really appreciate it. We do not take it for granted. We wish you all the love, all the happiness, all the peace, and all the blessings that this world can offer, no matter if you decide to take advantage of this opportunity or not, and no matter if you decide to go with TPAS or not when you decide to do this. Okay, somebody just said, I see you on the 26th, but yes, Terrence, I'll see you on the 26th. Okay, so with that said, you all, we are going to say goodbye, 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 and hopefully I'll see you on the 26th. And with that, yes, and that's a good point. Somebody just said pass it on. Yes, even Gary, perfect. Even if you don't want to take advantage of this opportunity yourself, please feel free to pass this information on to someone else. This video is recorded. It is going to be edited and posted to our YouTube channel, which is TPAS TV. Give me Yeah, it's the weekend. It's Memorial Day weekend. I don't want to do that, man. Give me until Wednesday, and I'll get it. And I'll get it posted to TPass TV on YouTube. All right, so that you can share that with others. And I will send you all the document that we went through today, the adjuster career information packet. I will email that to all the attendees shortly after this meeting ends. You can also share that with anyone as well. So yes, it may not be for you, but it may be for someone else. All right.